Hey guys, it's almost been a year since we built out Worsley, our 2019 JLU. And at the time, a lot of you asked us, how do you like the tires? How do you like the suspension? And we couldn't answer that because it was so new. But now we've put it through a really good test over the last year. We've done over 45,000 kilometers or 28,000 miles of a mix of highway driving, snow driving in the mountains, driving over rocks, dirt, all kinds of situations. If you've been following along, you've seen it on our videos. So now we feel qualified to be able to give you our honest opinion about all of the modifications that we put on this Jeep and let you know if it stood up to the test. Hey guys, Peter here from Epic Family Road Trip. We're going to get right into it. So I think the first thing we're going to talk about are the tires. We went with Milestar Patagonia tires. Some friends of ours in the YouTube world with big Jeeps doing all kinds of trails were using them, and we got to see them firsthand how well they worked. And so we put the same tires on our Jeep, and so I have to tell you, we have been very, very happy with them. They've stood up to the test. With all those road miles, we might have thought, because they're kind of aggressive tires, that they would have worn down on the amount of pavement driving we did. If you recall, we were down in New Mexico and we had to get all the way back to Canada within 3 days. We drove from New Mexico to BC, and then we drove all around BC and then crossed the country 4,000 kilometers all the way to Ontario and then back and so on. So we've done a lot of highway driving between trail running, and I have to say that the tread is still really good on these tires. They've done a great job for us. We haven't had any problems. When we were stuck in the mountains, if you recall those videos, we deflated the tires all the way to 8 pounds. We were a little worried about doing that because we're in the middle of nowhere, and it would have been not too good for us if a tire came off the rim, but we had no problems at all at 8 pounds of pressure, and that allowed them to kind of balloon out and give us some traction on that terrible snow conditions that we were in. We went with 37s, and that's a question we get a lot. Would you go with 37s again? Why did you go with 37s? And we mostly just went with 37s this time because they look cool and the kids really wanted to at least try it, even though we'll probably go with 35s next time. A couple of things. One, with 37s, we probably need to re-gear, and we'd probably need to get larger brakes. So we're just going to go back to 35s when we replace these tires. There's still another couple of months at least in these tires before we have to worry about replacing them. Another reason why 35s is that Vandy has 35s, and that way we would have 2 spare tires if we were to run into difficulty, because then we could share between the vehicles. So the other thing to consider is with international travel. Now, we haven't obviously gone international, but if we were going over to some other countries, first of all, shipping would be easier with lower tires. It would be easier to replace them if something happened, and it fits in with more of the traffic laws around the world. So that's all I have to say about that. But in terms of the Milestar Patagonias, we're going to give them 2 thumbs up. All right, while we're talking about wheels and tires and so on, I'm going to talk about the rims we went with. These are AEV Sabre 2s, and we've been really happy with them as well. We haven't had any problems. We like them because they look very overlandy, very simple, very no bling bling. We had bling rims before and we ended up breaking one, but these things are solid and just one piece. They're low key, and we have them on both vehicles, and we're very, very happy with these rims. A lot of you have asked, what is one piece of equipment you couldn't do without? And what are some things that you might be able to do without on this build? Well, the one we would not want to do without is what we have installed on here, which is an auxiliary tank from Long Range America. That gives us another 17 gallons of fuel. It doubles our capacity, and man, we've used that, and that has come in handy so many times over the last year. First of all, when we were coming north and we didn't want to stop at a lot of gas stations along the way, this allowed us to go double the amount of time before having to refuel. When we were up in some very remote places where there are absolutely no fuel stations, it frees us from having to carry all kinds of jerry cans, so that just fits neatly underneath. And when your fuel gets down to a quarter tank or wherever, and you want to refuel, all you have to do is hit this little button, and it transfers the fuel from the auxiliary to the main tank, and you now have a full tank of gas again. So that Long Range America auxiliary tanks are probably our favorite thing installed on this vehicle. All right, now I'm going to talk about the dual battery system. This is the Genesis dual battery system under the hood here, and you might wonder whether this is necessary or is it a kind of a nice to have rather than a need to have. We think it is a need to have. The ability to boost off the other battery has come in handy so many times. Not only that, we're using a lot of power. We have extra auxiliary lights on the vehicle, which I'll show you. Our winch is an electric winch, so when you're out there and you have no place to charge or no backup electrical power, you're going to want to have the extra battery. We also charge a lot of camera equipment because we do YouTube, so I would say get that thing in there almost right away because you'll need the extra power. And so ours has stood up to anything we've thrown at it, and in one time in particular we were winching a lot and trying to conserve fuel and had the engine off for a while, meanwhile running the winch or just retracting the winch, and then we noticed the battery levels going really low and stopped immediately. We're in the middle of nowhere at this point. We couldn't get the other vehicle around to boost it either. So we quickly connected the two batteries together and were able to restart the engine, and we never made that mistake again. But yeah, we think this is definitely a thumbs up. The dual battery system fits nicely under the hood, and you won't regret it. All right, let's talk about the ARB stubby bumper that we have on here. Very aggressive, solid steel bumper. We haven't thankfully hit anything, but I can tell you it would stand up to anything. This thing is very, very solid. We went with the stubby because we had the 37s on, and we're kind of going for that aggressive rock crawler look. But the other reason we did that is because AEV at the time didn't have their bumpers and some of their accessories available yet for the JL. So we do, I think, over time want to go back and get the AEV bumper and the full long one when we go to 35s. So that it looks the same as Vandy, and really we found that for the way we use our vehicles, we're looking for a long-range travel vehicle that is aggressive and able to get into some really off-road situations, but not be an actual rock crawler. That's not what we're doing out there. We are traveling over difficult terrain, but with the intention of getting somewhere. So if that makes sense to you, yes, this is a great bumper, and it's very aggressive and allows you to get into some really rocky situations. But Vandy has the full bumper from AEV, and that Jeep has been able to go anywhere that this Jeep has gone. So that's just our opinion, but in terms of this one standing up to the use over the last year, it's done an excellent job, and it's sitting there like brand new. All right, while we're on the front end here, talking about the bumper, let's talk about the winch that is nestled in that bumper. This is a Xeon 10S winch by Warren Industries, and I have nothing but great things to say about this winch. It got its workout over the last year. There's times where we used it many times climbing up snowy trails and steep inclines, and that thing was a lifesaver for us. We have, of course, the synthetic line on it, and it's stood up to pulling this out of some very difficult situations. So 2 thumbs up for sure on the Warren Xeon 10S winch. All right, now I'm going to talk about the front runner roof rack. We have the same roof rack on Vandy, and we've had it for many years, and we loved how it stood up to all the usage we had, even shipping internationally, all kinds of weight on there, and never had a problem. So we got the same rack here. Now they did modify the way it mounts here on the front just because of the JL's a little different, and it also has an opening windshield and so on. But other than that, it's very similar in the way it's put together. It's easy to put together, and it's very solid. So of course that's one of the most important things as well on a build, because that's where you put your rooftop tent. That's where you carry a lot of the gear. They also have some great accessories, like we use their water jugs for our fresh water, and they're easy to carry on and off. And then other accessories on the roof rack, there's a table that slides underneath here, which we use for eating and doing dishes and things like that. And then a shovel, an axe, and a few other small things. On the back we have a little bottle opener, but we've never used it because we positioned it in the wrong place. We're gonna have to move it somewhere else because every time we open our tent, the way we open it, it covers that area. So it's just a matter of moving that to a different location. But yeah, the front runner roof rack is a great addition to this vehicle. One thing a lot of you have asked about is whether we're going to put a snorkel on Vandy, and we plan to, but we ran into a couple of issues. One, the way the mounting poles for the roof rack are set up, we can't run the standard or typical snorkel up the side, so we're going to have to go with a different modification. There are some snorkels that kind of go under the hood and mount here. But the problem with that as well is when we have our dual battery system under there, it kind of makes it so that snorkel system won't work either. So we're waiting for a few things to be modified and for more accessories to come out for these new Jeeps. And I'm sure at some point we'll be able to find a snorkel solution for this vehicle. All right, of course, we've got our CVT rooftop tent up here, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time reviewing it on this video. You can look back in our YouTube channel here and see other reviews that we've done on the CVT tents. We're very happy with them. We've used them for many, many years. This one, of course, has stood up to the test of time this year and all the usage we've put it through all kinds of weather conditions. Right now we are in the rainforest of the west coast of Canada, and we're running into a few issues with canvas. It's not a CVT problem, it's just canvas in general. You'll get mildew forming very quickly because it's damp all the time. We have a nice dry day today, and typically we use a day like this to open it up and air it out, because otherwise it's days on end with where everything is damp. So that's something to consider if you're going to be camping for a long period of time in a rainforest area. Something to watch out for is the mildew that forms on canvas.
Hey guys, Peter Jr. here. So I'm going to be talking about our KC lights that we have on the Jeep and how they've performed over the past year. So up front we have the KC Pro 6 LED light bar, and these are excellent lights. We've really loved them for driving at night. They're super bright. You can take off the caps and only have 4 lights open, or all of them open, as many as you want, so to match whatever need you have. And then we also have these flex LEDs up front. We got 2 of them. They're just extra if we don't need the full Pro 6. And then for surround, we've got KC lights, and it's super nice to have those on the side and rear for when we're at camp. If it's dark and we're trying to set up, we can see everything around us. And if we're driving, we are driving on a trail at night, we can see what's around us so we don't hit anything while we're driving. And then we also have the KC rock lights underneath the Jeep, which we always turn on as soon as we get to camp, even just at dusk. It's really nice to see where you're stepping at night, and especially when you're in places like the desert where there can be something like a snake or scorpion. But everything's really been super good. It's all performed very well, and we really love them. All right, so these are our KMS hinge steps. They are probably one of the most used things on our Jeeps. They're actually absolutely necessary for once you've got a lift kit and everything on your Jeep to be able to get up and access your rooftop tent or anything that's on your rack. They're also extremely simple to mount to your Jeep. You can use your factory bolts that are on your hinges. You just take them out, set this thing on there, screw them back in, and it's mounted perfectly. They take all of our weight every single day for the past couple of years on Vandy, and last year on Worsley, so they're just an excellent product to have. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the suspension that we have on the Jeep. On Worsley, we went pretty much entirely with ARB suspension. We've got the Old Man Emu BP14 suspension front and back, and then we have the same Old Man Emu coils. They're high tension coils, and yeah, so they've held up really, really good. We actually really like them because of the adjustments that you can do. So when we're going off-road, we can make them softer, and then on the highways we can tighten them up a bit, and it's just super simple adjustments. The coils we like, except for in the back, since we have so much weight, they kind of sag a little bit. We fixed that on Vandy a couple years ago by getting AV's highest tension ones, and currently this is the highest tension that, or highest capacity coils that ARB has, but they're really good. They've held up well. All right, so on the back here we have our Poison Spider rear bumper and tire carrier. These things are epic. Obviously Poison Spider makes really high quality custom bumpers and tire carriers, and we went with this just because it looked really nice, and obviously the quality is really good. We wanted a bumper for a JL that could also have a tire carrier with it, and at the time that we were building there was no other There's only a few other options, and this was the best option by far. And another thing we did in the back was get a center mounted license plate carrier up high on the wheel so you could see it, and a rear camera. We like this for the backup camera. It's really convenient while backing up, and obviously the license plate carrier being in the center, you're not going to get pulled over for a dirty or smoked out license plate. But the one problem we do have with it is that we normally like to carry a trasharoo bag or garb bag or something on the back to carry garbage we find on the trail or extra gear that we have, and obviously we can't cover our license plate, so we can't have that there. So we may end up changing it, but really it's not because of its performance, just that we can't do what we want. Okay, so inside we have got Goose Gear's 60% seat delete and their sleeping platform. These things have been super great. Caroline sleeps in here every day when we're on the trail, and she really likes it. It's a nice, secure place to sleep. And then of course the storage in the front where the seats used to be, there is 2 storage panels that access where your feet would go, so you have a big, deep storage area for stuff like recovery gear or medical equipment or something you want kind of in a safe place where you know you can access it. And it's been a really great product over the past year, and it's going to last for a long time. All right, so right here we got the Goose Gear fridge slide out. We really love this thing because it is a solid box. In our other Jeep we also have a fridge slide out, but it doesn't have the walls or roof on it, and that always just causes stuff to fall in behind it and make it hard and difficult for us to just close up fast. So it's a really well-made, durable product. The slides are really great and work. You can have your fridge on top and a stove in the bottom if you want. Normally right here we have our Snowmaster fridge, which is also a really excellent product, and right now we're just cleaning it, so that's why it's not in here, and we're using it as a bit of storage. But yeah, these are 2 really good products. It's something we use every single day to cook meals. All right, so this is our front runner tailgate table. It is excellent quality and has a perfect cutting board on the bottom here, which just slides out, and it's an awesome thing for some extra meal prep space. All right, so under the front passenger seat we have an ARB dual compressor mounted there. We put it there because it's a really nice spot to have it, and it's easily accessible when we want to fill up our tires. It's an excellent product. It does the job of filling up 37s really quick, and makes it where it's not such a hassle to lower your tire pressure and then try to pump it back up when you get to a road again. We hooked it up to our factory auxiliary buttons that are in the front of the Rubicon, and I just push a button and it turns on and turns off when I press it again. So it's a really nice product to have, and definitely a must when you are going to be lowering your tire pressure on the trails. All right, so in the center of our dash here we have our 67 Designs device mounts. We've had these things all the way back since 2016 in our first Jeep build. We use them for mounting our phones, our Garmin, and GoPros when we're trying to film on the road, and it's just an excellent product. All right, so right by the steering wheel here we have our S-Pod HD panel. So we've had the touchscreen panel, we have that in Vandy still. We really like that, but we chose the HD panel this time just because it's kind of in my opinion, it's more convenient than tapping a screen to turn on and then tapping on something. And the touch screen is good quality, but just the HD panel just feels so easy to just click a button on and off. When you need it, if you're on a trail and you don't want to blind someone who's coming up, you can just turn on and off the lights really quick. And I kind of just like the aesthetic of it. So they're an excellent product and work extremely well. All right, so on our roof in the front and back of the Jeep, we have something called a bed rug, which is a super simple product to mount. It helps with heating your vehicle and keeping it cool inside your vehicle when you want, as well as canceling out outside sounds. But it also makes for a perfect place to attach patches, and a lot of you guys ask about that on our videos, and it just makes an awesome spot to put all your patches that you've been collecting from your travels. All right, so for communications in this Jeep, we use Midland radios. We have their handheld GMRS radios, which is our main communication between the 2 vehicles. But if we ever get separated or are a couple miles apart on the road, we have a 40-watt Midland radio as well for that long-range communication. We just have it mounted by the driver's leg here, and it's easily accessible. You can get the radio, and everything's controlled on the mic itself, which makes it easy to go up and down channels or whatever you need to do. So these are really great communications. We've been using them for the past year, and we love both the handheld and the bigger radios.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that assessment of our vehicle 1 year after the build. You'll notice that we're really happy with it. There's not a lot of things that we have any complaints about or things that we would do differently. And to answer that question, you've often asked us, is there anything you wouldn't include or something you are missing that you really feel you need? And the reason for that is because, of course, we had some experience from our first build with Vandy, but also we worked with exploration outfitters, and these folks are experts. And we sat down and had a meeting before we began ordering any parts and went over the build and what we think is necessary and so on, and they will coach you through it. They'll explain what each addition to the vehicle is for and how it will be used in the field, so you can avoid making costly mistakes of having something that costs a lot of money to install and then you never end up using it. So that's one of the reasons I think why we're so happy with the build, and there's nothing we'd remove and there's nothing that we feel is missing, except for maybe one thing. And if I was to add to the Jeep in the near future, one thing, it's on the interior, we definitely need some kind of a cabinet slide out system for all of our camera gear. We have almost everything in bags, camera bags, but charging is always an issue. So I think I'm envisioning a set of slide out drawers where we can set our cameras in there and have electrical plug-ins so we can charge everything while we're driving along. That would be a really neat add-on for phase 2 to this build. But other than that, I think we're extremely happy with it, and we've got a lot more miles of exploring to do, and as usual, we're going to take you with us the whole way.
You can use your factory bolts on area. What just happened? Okay, ready? Is it another plane?
There it is.
Huh, that's probably I guarantee you that's a Super Cub. Okay, ready?